To talk more about the race for 2024, we do want to welcome back in Niall Stanage, White House columnist at The Hill. Niall, thanks for staying with us.
Pleasure, Natasha.
So, Niall, we just spoke with DeSantis' camp earlier tonight. What are your takeaways from that conversation? And at this moment, I mean, we know Politico reporting the DeSantis campaign is trying to lower expectations in Iowa, saying that a second-place finish would be good enough for the governor. Is the DeSantis campaign going particularly well?
It's not going well, no. I thought the interview was really interesting because the DeSantis campaign clearly wants to change the subject from polling. If I were them, I would want to change the subject from polling too, because if you look back 6 months ago, before the governor even launched his campaign, he was getting about double the support in national polls that he's getting right now. You think of all the effort, all the money, all the personnel that goes into a national campaign, and his support has drifted down to be half where it stood in March. That is not good. Now, there is separately the argument that Carly Aitchison made there about the importance of organisation in Iowa and in the other early states. That is a valid argument. Turning people out to caucuses, to primaries is obviously crucial, but you need to have the supporters to start off with, and that's where the question arises for Mr. DeSantis.
Let's talk about the GOP frontrunner. We have heard legal experts say that even if Donald Trump is convicted and sentenced to prison time, he could still run for and serve as president of the United States. How does a Trump presidency play out if Trump is convicted before or after Election Day?
So one crucial division there is whether he would be convicted in a federal case or a state case. To try to keep this fairly simple, Natasha, a president has much more power over federal cases and very little over state cases. So if he were convicted in a federal case, he could later become president, and if he were still in the appeals process, for example, order his own Department of Justice not to contest his appeal. That would cause a massive uproar, but we know the former president is not averse to causing massive uproars. In state cases, he wouldn't have that power, and that's where the real serious danger, or more serious danger, I should say.
I want to ask you, thank you, Niall. I want to ask you about the topic of age. There is that recent NewsNation Decision Desk poll finding 83% of respondents are concerned about Joe Biden's age compared to 65% for Trump. And this is despite the fact that Biden is 3 years older than Trump is. Why is age so much of a bigger problem for Biden than for Trump optically? And do you think we will ever hear questions about Trump's age coming up as the campaigns progress?
I think it's a bigger issue for Biden than Trump because people see the evidence in front of their own eyes, Natasha. I don't want to be, macabre or gleeful, on the other hand, about this, but President Biden clearly is a less vigorous figure than former President Trump. He tends to speak in that kind of mumbly voice at times. He can meander in his thoughts. I do want to emphasize I'm making no judgment at all on the rights and wrongs of their political positions, but President Biden is less vigorous than former President Trump. It's the same reason why, for example, Senator Bernie Sanders, who's older than either of them, almost never gets questioned about his mental acuity, because he's clearly sharp, whether you agree with the senator or not.
Okay. Niall Stanage, appreciate you speaking plainly with us as always. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good evening. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.